Which I actually will, but you have to go get the ball first. That's very, we can't all of a sudden now, well, I'm not going to play with the ball. So if we play with that ball, we have to play with this one first. He does love that ball very much. But once the dog's focused on something else, that's pretty much it.
Told me like his favorite toy is this like red ball, you know, and like he like it's just like one of those things that he'll like lose his mind over. I swear, if he was like breeding, if there was like a female in heat and I brought this red ball out, he would be more interested in this red ball than the female in heat. That's how like intense he is for this red ball. He loves this ball. So we walked by the ball and I had a tennis ball and I was throwing the ball. But the importance of controlling what's happening with the dog is like a major factor, you know, in everything. So I had the tennis ball and I threw the tennis ball and he didn't want to get the tennis ball because he was trying to, in his own little manipulative way, was trying to get me to get the red ball and just say, oh, and just give up and get the red ball, right? So dog, you can't let him win. That's the key. You cannot let them win in that moment. So it was real important that I got him engaged in the ball, the tennis ball that I had, you know, before I brought him on to the red ball. Because again, like I said, you don't work against the grain. You don't hustle backwards. That's not really what you do. So I know he saw the ball and he, you know, his mind shifted. He really wanted to play with this ball. Now, as long as I can shift it back to what it is that I want to do, we can do that for a minute. Then I'm going to bring the dog to what I feel like he's going to excel the best at. He's going to push the hardest for. He's going to work the hardest for. So after he shifted his energy back to what it was that I wanted him to do, I then allowed him to move on to the red ball, and we exercised with the red ball.
High drive. Almost like when he gets his head into something, when you butt heads with him, if you don't actually have like a proper method to correct the dog, you don't really get into butting heads with him. So in this part, I just choose to show him that like the game is not going to continue unless he lets go of the ball and then I throw the ball again. So I'll let him make that choice on his own right now. One problem with this is like he does get a bit more of excitement of tugging on it and tearing at it as when the ball gets a lot more boring. But out. No. Kobe. Back up. Nope. So that's just like a point of adaptation, just deciding to change the plan midway. Because I was just noticing he's having a bit too much fun with the toy of just biting it and stuff. So that's why I interjected and decided to just tell him out instead. Which he does understand, he does know, but when, you know, dogs, they have moods. I mean, they're not robots, so sometimes they're in a different headspace. Another time, and you know, you got to kind of learn to read your dog when it's like the time when you're just out on your property to butt heads with them, you know, and to really kind of, you know, because I'm just out here exercising. You know what I mean? I'm not really doing any kind of like heavy training, I'm just exercising him. And I know when he gets extra laser focused sometimes, you know, he's a bit stubborn, so we know that about him. So now I'm also exercising his brain right now, where I'm making him wait a little bit longer, because it's good for him. Because he made me wait, now I'm going to make him wait. It's, you know, it's pretty simple how the relationship works. But, you know, that's why I decided to interject right there instead of letting him do that, because he just was having a little too much fun with it. So that's why.
I mean, there's definitely a fine line between discipline and abuse, but you know, understanding that dogs are physical, you know, is something that you always have to have in your mind. Like you cannot have as many dogs, as many powerful dogs as I have, and have not had any physical altercations with these dogs. This is how they go about life. You know, they don't have hands; they use their mouths. That's just how they operate. You know, but there's a major line between, like beating a dog and like, abusing a dog than actually disciplining a dog and teaching them something, right? So, I mean, I think it's funny when people talk about like different tools, that people will use in dog training, whether it be like a prong collar. I saw on the episode with Zion, people were really upset with this prong collar. Yeah, the e-collar, whatever it is, people are like, oh, it's abusive. Listen, like, first of all, these things are like sponsored and backed by like the MSPCA, ASPCA, all these different things. Like, I mean, they're not at all improperly used. They absolutely can be, but improperly used, this can also be abusive. It's just a matter of how you use your tools, right? So there's a major line between discipline and abuse, and you got to know it before you start working with these dogs. Because for another reason, if you're actually abusing a dog, and that's what's actually going on, and that's the way that you're using like that fear to control the dog, eventually there's going to be a moment where that dog can snap, and that's when some of these things can happen, right? Some of these bad stories and different things that you're seeing happen, and because even in small ways, people maybe not understand how they could actually be abusing their dog, right? So got to understand the lines between discipline and abuse, and understand how to become a strong leader. I mean, because that's really what these dogs follow. That's what it's all about. Dogs, they don't really follow anger. Like, they don't follow that. They don't follow weakness. They follow calmness. That's what they follow. Calm, powerful. That's what dogs feel comfortable with. So throughout my life, like, what I've always tried to tell people is, we live in a human world, so we're always trying to make things more like us. To relate more to a dog, it's much more powerful to become more like a dog. And that's what I've always been to them. I'm just the alpha dog. I'm just the biggest dog in the house. And that's the role that I always fulfill, So with that role comes the physical responsibility of keeping them all in line, in different moments. And that's where you've seen, we put the dogs on the ground, I have to pin them on the ground or different things. I mean, these are all disciplinary moments that these dogs have to go through, So whether they're, corrections and training, whatever it is, it's all discipline. But it's very important on how you deliver it so you don't cross over the line between abusive and discipline, right? So got to understand that. Very important.